Welcome to the VidConcierge Show, the podcast that helps health professionals master their delivery, speak with clarity, and show up on camera like the trusted expert they are. In each episode, you'll learn practical techniques and expert insights to elevate how you communicate on video so your message lands, your presence connects, and more people see you as the trusted authority in your field. Let's get started. Hello and welcome back. I'm Dr. Walter Salubro, the host of the VidConcierge Show. Have another great episode here for you today that we're going to be building on the techniques that we talked about, not just in the last episode, but in the previous episodes as well. In the last episode, we talked about how to start your videos with confidence and clarity. Now we're going to build on that because you need to start taking that confidence to another level and use it to accomplish something that's super important on your videos, and that's retention, keeping people on your videos, keeping them watching. Being comfortable on camera doesn't necessarily mean that someone's going to keep watching your videos. We have to earn their attention. That's super important because when someone clicks on your video, they're making a very quick decision about whether it's worth their time to keep watching. And that really hurts. And you can look at these retention graphs in your YouTube studios to see exactly where the drop-offs are or where the spikes are. The opening of your video needs to make the right viewer recognize that this video is for them. And we're going to talk about how to do this in this episode. They need to understand right from the beginning what they're going to get, and they need to feel interested enough to keep watching. You see, after creating more than 400 YouTube videos and helping many other chiropractors and healthcare professionals script and create their video content for YouTube, I found that there's two things that make a really big difference during the opening moment. The first is how you show up, which we talked about in the last episode. And the second is how you structure the introduction. And I call it the intro hook or the hook intro. When these two pieces come together, your first 20 to 30 seconds can completely change the way someone experiences your video. And not only that, how they keep watching and staying on your video. It makes the biggest difference you can imagine. The intro hook is super important. So the first thing we're going to talk about is how you deliver, your delivery. So we're building upon everything we've been talking about. We're talking about confidence and enthusiasm and passion and authenticity. Because even if you have a great scripted hook, all that can fall flat if there's no energy or enthusiasm behind your introduction. So the first key number one, is bring the energy, but yet be yourself. Stay authentic to who you are. Now, when I say you need to bring more energy at the beginning of the video, I'm not telling you to become someone different, someone that's not you. And I can't tell you how important it is to be more energetic on videos. In fact, if you're talking your regular tone of voice and speed, we talked about this in previous episodes, it actually shows up a lot less energetic or even a low pace of tone and delivery on video. For some reason, the camera does that. So you need to elevate your tone and your speed a bit more on camera. Now, I don't want you to be putting on a fake YouTube personality, speaking louder for no reason, or exaggerating your facial expressions, especially if it's not who you are, or pretending to be excited about something that you're not excited about, because that will come out as inauthentic, and you don't want that. People usually sense when enthusiasm is being manufactured or created, and it creates exactly the opposite effect that you're wanting to achieve, which is you want people to stay in your videos, but people will bounce off them. What I want is the most engaged version of yourself to show up on video. I always bring it back to your day-to-day experiences with patients. Think about what happens when you're talking to a patient about something that you genuinely care about. Maybe you're explaining a finding that finally helps them understand why they've been struggling for months. You naturally become more animated because you know the information matters. Your voice has more variation, your face becomes more expressive, and your enthusiasm comes through without you consciously trying to create it. You're actually very natural, especially if you've been in practice for many, many years. That's the energy I want to see show up on camera. You still sound like yourself, but you're bringing a little more passion and intention to your delivery. And that has to be done on camera because otherwise it will show dull, monotonous, and flat, and you don't want that. So showing up passionate and with intention is super important. And this becomes especially important during the beginning of the video because that's where you have not earned the viewer's attention yet. And you have to earn the viewer's attention. We're going to talk about how to do this in this episode, so keep listening. They don't even know you. They haven't invested much time on you or your channel, especially if they're a new person discovering your video or your channel. And as you can imagine, leaving your video requires very little effort. They just click and go watch something else, especially with today's attention span, which is less than 3 seconds. That's why your hook intro needs to be absolutely scroll stopping. So if your first 20 to 30 seconds sound like you're warming up to the topic, then there's a good chance that the viewer will leave you before you ever get to the valuable part of the actual video. And that's why the warm-up that we discussed in episode 18 happens way before you even record your video. You need to warm up so you can get ready to deliver the content you want to deliver and capture people's attention. So by the time that your actual video begins and you're recording, you want to be absolutely ready, energetic, and passionate. Your voice should be awake. It should be clear. Your facial expressions should match what you're trying to say. And there should be a sense that you're genuinely interested in helping this person understand something important. I say this person because in the previous episode, we also talked about that you're delivering a message to one person, not to a room of people or a complete audience or an auditorium. It's one person. And the other thing I want to mention too is, and I tell this a lot to my clients, I run a agency, a done-for-you YouTube growth system, an authority system for chiropractors and health professionals, and we build out their YouTube channel. All they do is film the video. But I tell them, be yourself, have fun, be energetic, be enthusiastic, have passion. And I just said it earlier, have fun. You want to have fun with your video because you show up way more authentic when you are having fun. And the reason why I say that as well, and I know this because this is the way I started at the beginning, and you can look at my old YouTube videos and you'll see them, is that I think a lot of health professionals sometimes become really serious or overly serious when the camera turns on because they believe there's some form of professionalism that has to show up or that's required. So now they suppress their personality. And I know for a fact that was me at the very beginning. Now, you can be very clinically responsible while you're on camera and being professional, but still smile and show up with enthusiasm, use your hands naturally, and just enjoy delivering the actual topic. It makes a massive difference, especially to the listener who is the person that you're trying to influence and teach and make a difference with your content. So the distinction that's really important here is that you're not turning your energy up or on like a switch and becoming a character on camera. What you're doing is you're taking your energy, the energy that you already have in your natural day-to-day environment, when you're passionate about something, especially when you're passionate about helping someone, and allowing more of that to come out on camera. Now, once your delivery has more energy and enthusiasm and passion, the next thing we need to look at is the structure of those first 20 to 30 seconds, what you're actually saying. And I'm going to give you a framework that I use as my hook intros or intro hooks for my videos and my clients' videos that I know gets anywhere from 60 to 70% retention in the first 30 seconds, which is what you want as a benchmark for your YouTube videos. So key number 2 is how do we structure the intro hook? What's important is that the job of the intro hook is not to introduce you. The biggest mistake you can make is starting off a video on your YouTube channel that says, "Hey guys, it's Dr. Walter Salubro here. Welcome back to my video." You already lost a person. You have to start with something that's going to grab their attention. It needs to stop the scroll and earn the first few seconds. I'm talking about literally the first 3 to 4 seconds of that viewer's attention. And if you can aim for a healthcare educational video, if you can aim that hook intro to be delivered in about 20 seconds if possible, or maximum 30 seconds, that's the benchmark I want you to be at. You don't need long-winded introductions. You don't need to exemplify all your credentials. There is a place for that. I do that in some videos, but not every video. You don't need to welcome everyone back to your channel, like I just gave you an example earlier. The viewer clicked because they have a problem or a question or a need, and they have something that they want to understand. They need some kind of quick win, and that's what they're there for. So you need to meet them there. So I build our hooks in my scripts and my client scripts around this 4-piece structure. And I do vary this from time to time, but this is the basic structure that I want to give you that if you apply can make a really big difference in the delivery of your introduction and hook. So here's the 4 parts of my intro hook. Number 1, meet them where they're at. Number 2, agitate the pain point. Number 3, make a promise in the video. And of course, you're going to deliver on that promise inside your video. And number 4, give them a plan on how you deliver the content. So let's break down each one because each one has a specific job. So part 1 of the introduction hook, meet them where they're at. So this is the part where you want to create that quote unquote, that's me moment. What that means is that when they're watching the video, you really want to have them feel like you're talking about them, that the end result is that they're going to say, oh my gosh, that's me. Oh my gosh, you just described me. That's what's called the that's me moment. And I learned this from a buddy of mine who's a chiropractor mentor of mine. His name is Dr. Ryan, and it makes a massive difference to use not just in your videos, but in your everyday discussions when you're teaching people about something. A great example of this is one of my clients, VidConcierge clients. We've been helping him for years, and lately we've been building out his YouTube channel, and he just surpassed 100,000 subscribers. Literally, when I started working with him years ago through different avenues, he had under 100 subscribers, so he's just exploding out there on YouTube. And his niche is vertigo and dizziness, predominantly vertigo, BPPV, vertigo. And we created videos, and we just nailed his audience niche messaging to the point where multiple comments in the videos, the people are saying, that's me. That's me. They're literally using those words. Oh my gosh, you just described what I'm going through. No one's described it like this. No video's ever said it the way you said it. You're describing exactly what I'm going through. That's the actual intention you want to get with the that's me moment, okay? And I spend a lot of time with this because it makes a big, big difference. So let me give you an example here. Let's say you're making a video about lumbar spinal stenosis. You could start by saying, today I'm going to talk about lumbar spinal stenosis and some exercises that may help. The problem with that is it's not technically wrong, but you've just started with the topic instead of the person. There's no that's me connection. Now, compare this with this scenario, okay, the alternative. If you can only walk for 5 or 10 minutes before your legs start feeling heavy, weak, numb, or painful, but sitting down gives you relief, this video is for you. You see how those two approaches are completely different? So now addressing the viewers recognizing their own experience in my dialogue, in my script. You want them to think that you're describing exactly what's happening to them. That's the reaction you're looking for. Now, the cool thing is, as a doctor, as a health professional, as a chiropractor, you have a very big advantage because you hear patients describe their problems every single day. So you pay attention to those words that they use, and you can use them inside your video hooks. I do this all the time. You can also research this on Google or ChatGPT or other resources online, and you can literally do searches for what people are experiencing or saying about the problems that you want to actually talk about in your video. So always remember, you want to start your hook with explaining the situation, the topic you're talking about, in a way where the viewer is going to see themselves in that remark and say literally, that's me, because that will keep them watching past that first few sentences. Now, part 2 of the hook is agitate the pain point. Once the viewer recognizes themselves, you want to deepen that connection by touching on why the problem matters to them. You're digging deep into that pain point. Now, I'm not talking about finding ways to scare people about their problem or exaggerating the symptoms. You're simply demonstrating that you understand the impact the problem has in their life. And of course, you could use examples of people that have been in your office because you can see how their pain condition has affected them and the consequences in their life because of the pain condition they've had. So those are the pain points that you want to dive deeper in this part. It's very important because it does keep people watching the video. Again, they relate to it. So keeping with our spinal stenosis example that I had earlier, you might continue with something like this. Maybe you started avoiding longer walks, shopping trips, or activities with your family because you're never sure how far you'll make it before the pain starts in your legs. So you're no longer really describing only a symptom, you're describing what the symptom is taken away from them, how it's hurting them, how it's aggravating them, how it's affecting their life. That's where the emotions become relevant to them, and that's how they'll keep watching. If you're talking about neck pain, for example, the frustration might be waking up every morning with stiff and uncomfortable neck. If you're talking about dizziness, it might be the uncertainty of wondering when the next episode of dizziness will occur. If you're talking about shoulder pain, as an example, it might be struggling to put on a jacket or reach into a cupboard without thinking about it first. So these are things people can relate to. So the strongest pain points are not usually health or medical related terms. They're moments that people experience in their lives. And when you can show that you understand those moments, then the viewer feels understood and they'll keep watching. Okay, part 3 is make a clear promise. You need to kind of let people know what the payoff of watching the rest of the video is. So that's what it means to have a clear promise. Now that you've shown the viewer you understand their problem, we're going to tell them what they're going to get from watching, essentially from continuing to watch. So your promise needs to be specific enough that they'll immediately understand the benefit and what the video is about. For example, I'll say something like, in this video, I'll show you 5 seated exercises designed to reduce pressure around the irritated nerves and help you walk with less discomfort. So now the viewer knows exactly why they're staying and what they're going to get. So notice the promise isn't exaggerated. I'm not promising to cure spinal stenosis or any condition I'm talking about. We never do that. I'm not guaranteeing that they'll become pain-free. In fact, I'll use many times the word may. So these exercises may help you as an example. I'm telling them what I'm going to show them and the outcome that these exercises are designed to do or support. And oftentimes I'll even use examples of how they helped people in my practice so they can relate to that as well. And it makes it more believable that it could work for them. So a strong hook does not require you to have an outrageous, absurd claim. You need to be honest, you need to be real, it needs to be fact-checked, and of course, it needs to be clear because clarity is way more compelling than hype. Okay, now the fourth part of the hook intro is give them the plan. How are you going to deliver the goods? This is the final piece because it tells the viewer how you're going to deliver the promise you just gave them. It doesn't need to be long. It can be something as simple as, I'll walk you through each exercise step by step, show you exactly how to perform it, and explain what you should feel so you know whether you're doing this correctly or not. That's a simple way in terms of a plan on how you're delivering the promise. Okay, that's what I call a plan. So the viewer understands the problem that you're addressing, the benefit for staying, and how you're going to get there. And then after that point, I'll do like a brief intro, like a doctor or channel intro, very, very brief. And then I go into the main content. So when you put all these 4 pieces together, your hook intro has a very natural progression. This is what you're experiencing. This is why it's frustrating. This is what I'm going to help you with. This is how we're going to do it. And you're doing that all in 20 to 30 seconds. Okay, now I know it's challenging. Trust me, I've built out and scripted hundreds of hooks and scripts. I know how challenging that is. And sometimes you are going to go over 30 seconds, but you need to have all those elements. If you have all those elements, then you'll be okay. So this is how you earn attention in the first few seconds of your video. Now, the first 30 seconds of your video don't need to be complicated, but they do need to be intentional. Start by bringing the engaged, enthusiastic version of yourself to the camera without trying to become somebody you're not. Remember, that's very important. Let your personality shine. Let it come through. Allow yourself to have fun with the teaching. And remember that genuine enthusiasm is very different from manufactured fake energy. You don't want to appear fake on camera ever. Then you build your hook intro around the viewer, essentially the viewer's problems and experiences rather than topic, and then meet them where they're at. So you create that "that's me" moment. You show them that you understand why the problem is affecting their life, give them a clear promise, and tell them how you're going to deliver it. So when you combine the right energy with the right hook intro and all those steps I just gave you, you're doing something much more than trying to manipulate retention. You're actually earning retention. You're giving people reason why to stick around and watch your video. You're helping the right person recognize within seconds that they found the right video that they're looking for. And that's the key. That's the key to getting these videos to work, is you want to help YouTube as much as possible to find the right people to watch your content. By doing that, you need people to stay in your content to keep watching. The more they keep watching, the more YouTube knows who your audience is, and that's how you build an audience of viewers and followers on YouTube. All right, so here's your action step for today. Before you record your next video, write an intro hook using the 4 pieces I just gave you. Number 1, meet them where they're at. Create that "that's me" moment. Number 2, agitate the pain point. Number 3, make the promise of what the video is going to deliver. And number 4, give them a plan on how you're going to deliver that. Then read it out loud with your natural enthusiasm, your natural tone of voice, and time yourself. See if you can get it down into about 20 to 30 seconds. Always with the intention to get the viewer to think, "That's me. That's me. This person understands what I'm dealing with, and I want to hear what they have to say. I want to keep watching." Okay, so what's coming up in the next episode? In the next episode, we're going to cover and continue on the conversation of energy. And this one here is going to be the energy mistake that turns viewers away. This is very important because I see this often in my new VidConcierge clients, and I don't want you to keep making this mistake. So make sure you keep watching because energy is everything. How you present yourself on camera will either keep people on or get people to bounce off, and you don't want them to bounce off. As always, thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode. That's it for today's episode of the VidConcierge Show. Always remember, how you show up on camera shapes how people see you. So keep practicing, keep showing up, and keep leaning into the role as the trusted expert. If you got value from this episode, take a moment to rate it, review it, and subscribe. It really helps the show grow. And if you want a free audit of your YouTube channel, that's by me, head over to www.valtoriamedia.com/audit. Your personalized channel audit will show you what's working on your channel, what's missing, and what to fix next, so you get more visibility and authority with your videos. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next time on the VidConcierge Show.